The 2023-2024 school year will be the first where artificial intelligence is just a reality. It's a fact of life for hundreds of thousands of students. We kind of saw a glimpse of how it might be used as these generative AI systems rolled out late last year in 2022, but it's really now in August of 23 that these systems are competitive and fairly robust and everywhere, or at least pretty easily accessed by students everywhere. So Hadi Parvoti is here to talk a little bit about code.org and how we might, instead of kind of freaking out about generative AI systems, how we might integrate AI into the classroom. Hadi, first of all, can you give me a sense of scale? I know and I have friends, as many people do, who are academics and teachers. Give me a sense of the scale. How accessible is generative AI systems by students, and how widely used is it?
Sure, that's a great question. First of all, thank you for hosting me and to including me in this conversation. And this is such an important conversation. I've for roughly 10 years of the existence of code.org been talking about the importance of modernizing our curriculum to recognize how much technology is changing our world and to make our curriculum fit for the age of technology and the digital age, because our curriculum was created in the age of the printing press. And if you think about what's happening with generative AI, this is not sort of a small thing that some kids have access to.
Yeah.
Surveys show that almost the majority of students, of teenage students, plan to use AI to do their schoolwork this year. I think it's 45% of students have said they will do their schoolwork using AI. And we also know that the tools to detect that don't work. Meanwhile, among teachers, almost 100% say they need to learn more about it. They need to learn how to use it in their classroom. A third of teachers use AI every week to prepare for their classes. So this is not some terrible thing that we need to prevent. It's something that our teachers are already doing to help save time. What's important is we need to figure out how to embrace it the right way to get the benefits for teachers, for classrooms, for students, while also safeguarding against the downsides. But this isn't a genie that's going back in the bottle. It is completely out of the bottle. It is something that by the end of this year, the majority of students will be using, whether our schools embrace it or not.
We should say, code.org is a nonprofit, and your mission is to help educators better understand emerging technologies and the impact on students and on educators. So you kind of alluded to this, but how widely used are generative AI systems by teachers? And I mean, you gave a stat there that's pretty astounding, but is this number growing?
So roughly a half of teachers in surveys say that they have used generative AI, and about a third say they use it every week. That's a pretty big thing for
Yeah.
something that's not been around for even a year. And this number will increase not just because more teachers will start using AI, but because it's going to be built into the tools that we use in our daily lives. Today, if you want to use generative AI, you need to go to ChatGPT. It's going to be baked into Microsoft Word and Google Documents. And once it's just a part of the tools you use for writing, then everybody who does writing is going to use this, whether you're a teacher or a student or a journalist. It'll just be part of our daily lives. And part of the value of schools to prepare you for what life is going to be like. And this is something that preparation is going to be necessary for.
You said it, and I can tell you, I'm a journalist and I'm a writer. It's my vocation. It's what I'm paid to do, and I pay for ChatGPT. I use Claude, Bard, and many of the other tools, and it does exactly what you said. It can't replace my work, but it can save a lot of time. So, how are teachers using generative AI to save time and I would assume enhance education?
That's a great question. There are so many ways teachers are already using generative AI to save time. And part of the work that code.org is doing in terms of launching our AI 101 for teachers is to help spread that knowledge and those learnings so other teachers can get these benefits. Examples of things are preparing lesson plans. Most parents think the job of a teacher is the work they do in the classroom with students. Teachers know that a huge amount of their time is the time they spent after the classroom, not with students, either preparing or grading. And that out of the classroom work, much of it can be done by AI. In special ed, teachers spend all this time on IEPs, individualized education programs, where they create individualized programs to deal with special needs students. Preparing those programs is something that AI can save time on as well. There are so much administrative busy work that can reduce the sort of extra workload of being a teacher and give teachers more time where they want to spend it, which is with our children.
That I think is key. My mother was a teacher, and I think you said it exactly right. They spend so much time outside of the classroom, but a lot of it is administrative busy work. And as a journalist, what I use it to is to compress the time it takes me to, say, create a transcript. If I'm doing that by hand, it takes a lot of time. It's great for that use and a lot of others. And I would imagine teachers use it in fairly similar ways. If they can telescope down the administrative tasks that they spend time on, I would imagine they can spend more time teaching and educating and spending time one-on-one with students. So, how I know we've heard a lot of freakouts about this, but how are students using generative AI? Are they using it to cheat?
Um, yes, students are using generative AI to quote unquote cheat relative to the current goalposts of education,
Yeah,
because the current goalposts of education are wrong. Frankly, they're out of date. You
but
know,
I'm sure. Yeah,
today's school, just like when you and I went to school, tests you by saying, all right, we're going to test your knowledge. Put away the books. Don't use the internet. Don't talk to anybody. And now, write the essay that proves that you learned the material. Imagine in the workplace if we said, don't use the internet and don't talk to anybody. I just want you to produce your work. That's not a fair test of what any workplace wants. The workplace wants you to be collaborative, to know how to use all the digital tools out there to create the best work. And so students, they're cheating relative to rules that need to be rewritten. We shouldn't be testing students' ability to memorize knowledge or their ability to do rote, repetitive tasks that a computer could do.
yeah.
We should be testing their ability to generate new insights, to solve problems, to do critical thinking, to collaborate, and to use digital tools, because those digital tools are the superpower of the modern age. And the student who knows how to master those tools is going to be the one that's more successful than the one that is told not to use those tools.
That is such an insightful answer. And in of course, I'm asking in kind of a tone
Tongue
that
in cheek,
reflects some
yeah.
of the hyperbole that exists out there. Um, but your insight that students are using this to spend more time, more cognitive time solving problems is dead on. Can you give me a couple examples of specific generative AI tools or ways that uh, students and teachers are interacting with this as a mediator?
Sure, I can give you a great example with my own children, although they might get upset that I'm outing them. Uh, my daughter's on the debate team at school, and when you prepare for debate, you're given a statement such as, it would be good for the government to ban all use of fossil fuels, and you should prepare for both sides of that argument. She can start browsing the internet to do that, but she can also just ask a generative AI to give her arguments for and to give her arguments against, and then to ask for references or then to start use that as a starting point for her research. Before she used generative AI, she would come talk to me, her dad, to bounce off her ideas. Now she has an AI she can bounce the ideas off of. And by using the AI, she also needs to learn, and she knows this, that the AI isn't always right. Just like her dad isn't always right. And so she still needs to do sort of secondary research to make sure she's getting a full picture. But just having that sounding board gets her started on the work. It helps eliminate writer's block. It's a way of improving the breadth of ideas she's exposed to.
How are administrators from school districts up to universities reacting?
The reaction of administrators a year ago, or right when these things first came out, was just to ban them because they just didn't know what to do, and this was new, and the school system was unprepared. Now they broadly recognize this is part of the new normal, but they're
Mhm.
not exactly sure what they should do. The thing I am certain they are most sure they need is training for their teachers. And that is why Code.org released our AI 101 for teachers to basically bring teachers up to speed. There's 3 million teachers in the United States with very varying degrees of technical knowledge. The other thing administrators very much recognize, but they want help with, is learning how to get the time savings benefits in the education system, because we have a teacher shortage. And so if there's any way AI can save teachers time or offload any of their work, that can help address the shortage of teachers who are overworked and leaving the system. Uh, the part that administrators need the most help with, and they know it's coming, but they just don't know how to get there, is this question of actually changing the goalposts of the curriculum, removing the old, uh, outdated memorization of too many facts or repetition of rote work, and shifting to have a more digital, uh, digital age curriculum where the actual learning objectives are different than what you and I went through when we went to school. You know, we all memorize so many things, but as adults we forget them because we don't need them anymore. There's certain things you remember. You remember the date of the American Revolution, or the date that Christopher Columbus discovered America. But there's so many other dates and names and battles that you've memorized that you forget, because if you need it, you can Google it or you can ask Siri. Whereas, when that was created in the curriculum, those tools didn't exist. We need to basically have this sort of a run through the curriculum and remove that old cruft. That part administrators have not gotten around to, and departments of education globally are aware of this need, but they're unsure how to progress with it.
I wonder what the next look, the tech world is kind of focused on these large existential fears and the long-term dangers of AI. But I wonder if you could maybe look into the short term for us and consider the next school year or 5 school years. If I'm a freshman in high school, by the time I graduate, where is generative artificial intelligence as a part of my workflow or my education flow?
So, with respect to the fears about AI and the safety issues, I'm of the camp that sort of the fears of AI destroying humanity and being an existential thing, existential risk, are a little bit overblown. They're certainly not right around the corner. I wouldn't say I'm cavalier about it, but the much more present day concerns are things like AI sounds very confident even when it's completely wrong, or AI has biases based on the information it's been trained on, and it doesn't know when it's biased. And so it can have either a right wing political bias or a left wing political bias or some other bias, uh, but it sounds very confident and it sounds very authoritative. And because it's artificial intelligence, you think the computer knows best. It can be tricked into saying unsafe things or hurtful things. It can be tricked into uh, creating dangerous situations for a student who wants to cause harm. Those are the things that are in the short term things to worry about. But AI is also a moving target, and the technology companies creating these tools are aware of and addressing these problems. You ask where will we be in 5 years? In 5 years, I'm quite confident that our school system will recognize not only that these tools are here to stay, but that teaching kids how to be amazing problem solvers, critical thinkers, and collaborators using these digital tools is going to be a key part and reason for education. Uh, we invented the school system so students can learn to read and write.
Yeah.
The school system in 5 years won't just be to learn to read and write. It'll be to learn to read, write, and code using AI, to create technology using AI, to create documents using AI, to collaborate, generate new ideas using AI, to create art and music using AI. Uh, our human creativity and the insights and problems we solved is still going to be an important piece, but AI provides a superpower that amplifies human creativity. And part of the goal of school will be to teach that superpower to students.
You might have just answered this, but last question. If you had one message for parents of students, how would you advise them to think about their kids' use of AI and technology?
That's a great question. I'll tell you what I do as myself as a parent. When my kids tell me that the school is restricting use of AI, I tell them that's going to change. And by the time you're my age or by the time you're out of school, you better be the best at knowing how to use AI, not somebody who's not been doing it. So if you're learning how this stuff works, go deep. Don't just use it, learn how it's built. Learn not only how to use the technology, but how to create technology, because that's the real superpower in the long run. Uh, and at the same time, do your best to stick within the lines of what the school asks. But school is going to have some catching up to do because technology is moving quite fast. And as a student, if you stay ahead of the technology curve, you're actually going to be ahead of the game.